Should we investigate?
Should you shut the fuck up before you get us both killed?
Hey everybody, this is Atticus the Death Mailer, and we are going into some stupid shit right now. Now, as all of you are very well aware that the new HBO miniseries Chernobyl has proven to be very, very, very popular. Now, I haven't seen it myself, but my older brother, whom does have HBO, has seen it himself, and he has told me it is pretty goddamn good. So when I do have the time to actually get HBO Go myself, because I'm a broke ass fuck right now, I will watch it and, you know, give out my critique on it on probably a future Death Metal or Cinnabis episode. But I'm gonna be talking about some really, really stupid stuff in regards to Chernobyl, because there are some Instagrammer influencers that are going over to Pripyat, Ukraine, the town of Chernobyl, and just insta-thoughting. Just being typical thoughts on Instagram, like fuckboys and thoughts, just prowling over into the ruins of Pripyat, Ukraine, doing all this other shit. Now, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this stuff, Atticus the Death Mailer? Now, before I get down onto why they're doing such shit, I know, I want to keep this video longer, but I want to build up a little bit of a build-up by talking about the history of Chernobyl to all you normies out there. So let us begin. So for those of you who are unaware, living under a Dwayne Johnson, or who probably slept around in history class on Chernobyl, you would know that Chernobyl was a nuclear power plant located in Pripyat, Ukraine, which was a nuclear town for all the people that were working at the nearby Chernobyl nuclear plant. So it was considered to basically be the worst nuclear disaster upon human history. The Chernobyl disaster happened at 1:23 a.m. on April 26, 1986, when extremely hot nuclear fuel rods were lowered into cooling water. An immense amount of steam was created, which, because of the reactor's design flaws, created more reactivity in the nuclear core of reactor number 4. This resultant power surge caused an immense explosion that detached the 1,000-ton plate covering the reactor core, releasing radiation into the atmosphere and cutting off the flow of coolant into the reactor. A few seconds later, a second explosion of even greater power than the first blew the reactor building apart and spewed burning graphite and other parts of the reactor core around the plant, starting a number of intense fires around the damaged reactor and reactor number 3, which was still operating at the time of the explosions. So you have to really keep in mind here, once that reactor exploded, you had millions upon millions of radioactive particles spreading all over the place. And the first, responders, the firefighters, they went out to quell the fires, and once they were done and went back home, yeah, they did. This was a problem that went from bad to worse. So the following day, they realized that shit was going on, and the people in nearby Pripyat were in grave danger. This was literally ground zero. So the said authorities came over to all the townsfolk of Pripyat with this following statement.
Okay, comrades, there has been a little bit of a huge problem as in the big explosion that has just happened at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant right over there. So we're going to ask you all to cooperate with us. Bring everything that you can carry around with you. Get onto these buses, and we'll take you to a safe place, and you'll be back in around 3 days once this has been taken care of.
Spoiler alert, they would never come back in 3 days. They would never, ever, ever come back. That's how bad it was. Upon watching documentaries upon Chernobyl, I do know that Belarus and Russia, even as far as the UK, were affected. Like, you had, officials shoot down animals that were supposedly radioactive so that they wouldn't, spread the radioactivity amongst people. And this was bad. And it was gonna be a lot more worse because, yeah, there was gonna be a second and even worse explosion that was gonna happen. Like, way worse. And what do I mean by this? I mean by this very following statement. Days after the explosion, Soviet authorities made the horrifying discovery that the core of the reactor that had exploded was still melting down. Underneath this was a huge pool of water, which acted as a coolant for the power plant, which they had mixed would have caused the second steam explosion. And it was gonna be a bigger boom. A really, really big boom. So something had to be done quick. And I mean very quick. Millions of people's lives were at stake. Now it's without question that I do despise the shit out of communism, mostly towards the Stalinist era of the Soviet Union, but I have to give props to the hard working men and women who went out of their way to shut down the nuclear reactor, and these were some of the bravest people ever. And this is where the original Suicide Squad, not the DC Suicide Squad, comes into the picture. Firefighters had tried unsuccessfully to fully drain the pool containing 43 million gallons of water using specialized hoses. This is where Mr. Ananenko and the other two men stepped in to go down to the water tank and open a valve to release the water. They were told they could refuse the mission, but nonetheless went ahead. Using torches, the men found the locks for the water tank in the dark and quickly opened them to let the water escape and avert disaster. I never felt like a hero. I was doing my job and I was ordered to go there, so I went. I wasn't afraid, he said, the Mail Online reported. Immediately I heard a noise that meant the water was draining. That was amazing, said Mr. Ananenko. And the people who really say that they weren't heroes, that they were doing their job, like, personally, in my point of view, in my opinion, those are the real, true heroes. Instead of the people that are just like basking in the glory and stuff. Those are like the most humble motherfuckers ever. But you know what's the most terrifying thing about this whole disaster? This image right here. That is called the elephant's foot. And it is considered the most dangerous thing ever. The elephant's foot was measured at 10,000 retrogens per hour, and anyone who approached it would have received a fatal dose in under a minute. After just 30 seconds of exposure, dizziness and fatigue will find you a week later. 2 minutes of exposure and the body cells will soon begin to hemorrhage. 4 minutes, vomiting, diarrhea, and fever. At 300 seconds, you have 2 days to live. If that ever happened to me, I would just be begging someone to just put me out of my goddamn misery. But the dude who took the picture of that elephant's foot, he's got some serious fucking balls. I think he's probably dead as well because holy fucking shit. So I went on and bitched about the history of the whole Chernobyl nuclear disaster. I also want to talk about on how I got interested in the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Well, I read up a lot of, articles on National Geographic when I was young. But the one thing that really got me interested in Chernobyl was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1. Yeah, I will admit that. That was what really got me interested in the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Now, on to the main reason why you are all watching this video right here. The fact that we have all these Instagram influencers, fuckboys, and Thots just prancing all over Pripyat, Ukraine with their pure fuckboyery and thottery. Now, I've seen this article a couple of times here and there, but it was a friend of mine from Romania that sent me this article and really, talked about, bringing up a storm on how all these people are stupid doing this stuff. And so I read this up and I saw these images of these individuals right here, which I will show you right now. Now I know that a lot of you people are going to say that I am some holier than thou individuals saying, you can't do that. There were people that were risking their lives and stuff. They literally risked their lives exposing themselves to radiation sickness just so that the world wouldn't fucking end. And you would be right in saying so. I mean, the fucking, producer of the Chernobyl miniseries brought up this tweet right here saying this. It's wonderful that Chernobyl HBO has inspired a wave of tourism to the zone of exclusion. But yes, I have seen the photos going around. If you visit, please remember that a terrible tragedy occurred there. Port yourselves with respect for all who suffered and sacrificed. Now, yes, that's a pretty, understandable statement right there. You're gonna have really stupid people flock around Chernobyl doing thottery around the ruins of Pripyat. And in many ways, it really just kind of really depresses me in a way, because I've always wanted to visit the ruins of Pripyat, take pictures, and just see all that went around. It used to be a very vibrant and very lively nuclear town. All these people have had the best life. When they first moved into Pripyat, they were living the life. Now, yes, under Soviet communist standards, I would say this was the best life for these people of the working class that were working around the nuclear power plant. But that one fucking test ruined everything for them, and it's become a ghost town. And yes, you still have actual original inhabitants of the place that have just moved back in, and many people would be like, oh, that's really fucking stupid, why would you do that? But they're still alive and kicking, eating food, planting crops, and all this other stuff. It's like, it's really fucking crazy and stuff. I mean, you have a lot of people that are going to the site of Pripyat, doing all this stupid stuff. Most people say, oh, that's it's not that big of a deal, Atticus the Death Meddler. They're just, doing this just to clown around. Yeah, Logan Paul did that at the Okigahara Forest, and look what happened to him. He saw a freshly hung corpse and decided to vlog it and shit. I mean, you have to really understand this, is that most of these people, to them, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster was their version of 9/11. Now, yes, there weren't terrorists that attacked, but it was a nuclear test that went horribly wrong, and millions of people's lives were changed. The original residents of Pripyat were moved out of Pripyat, never to see their homes ever again. You had a lot of people die from radiation sickness. It was horrible. On the plus side, it furthered the collapse of the Soviet Union, but it was just a very horrible and tragic disaster that absolutely no one wanted to ever happen. I mean, quite frankly, none of us ever wanted the Chernobyl nuclear disaster to happen. Even if it didn't happen, the Soviet Union was still going to collapse, but that meltdown caused it to die even faster. But aside from my grievances, I'll run to the Soviet Union. All I just gotta say, if you guys are planning to visit the Chernobyl site, do so in a way that you're not being a fucking retard. But to those people that are just doing it just for the views and the likes and the follows, if you get radiation poisoning, well, at least the stupid people are dying. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, it's sort of a boner killer knowing that my one big dream of, my one bucket list dream to visiting the Chernobyl nuclear disaster is being fucked over by a bunch of just fuckboys and Thots. But you can't do anything to prevent it. But I mean, Ukraine desperately needs the money for the tourism anyway, even after that whole crazy ass revolution / civil war in Crimea back in 2014, 2015. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. And if I ever get the chance to watch the miniseries Chernobyl, I plan to watch it all through, because I heard from a lot of people, especially my older brother, it's a damn good miniseries. Though Band of Brothers will always be the better miniseries. Now, before I end this video, I just want to let you guys know something that is absolutely crazy that is going to happen around in next month. I have been waiting for all of you guys to hear this, and finally, I think it's time. I was going to save it for my next Death Metal Cinemas episode, but due to what's going on right now, I feel that this is the appropriate video to actually announce this, and oh, the excitement! So, I'm going to say this right now. I, Atticus the Death Metaler, for the first time, am flying out of the country. I am going to be visiting Amsterdam in the Netherlands for the first time ever in my life. I get to travel outside the US. It has been a dream that I have waited for so long, and finally it's happened. And yes, people, I'm going to be making a vlog out of this. I'm going to be with my two brothers, and we're going to be staying for a little while, but I'm going to make the very best of this trip. I will be leaving at around July 10th. I will be entering around July 11th, and I will be leaving at around July 14th. It's going to be a short trip, but it's basically going to be an amazing trip. I just know it. So I just can't wait. I really can't wait. I have waited a long time for this. This year has been very shitty, but I am just hoping that this trip will make it all up for me. So that's gonna happen. And of course, there's gonna be plenty of other The Death Metaler Cinemas episodes going on. I plan to do my Death Metaler Cinemas episode on Season 8 of Game of Thrones, and the longly awaited Part 2 of 13 Reasons Why. And a bunch of other stuff is going to be coming out as well. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed this little rant right here. Stay tuned for more videos to come. Without further ado, ladies and gents, I am Atticus the Death Miller. Hope you liked this video. Subscribe to my channel. Links are down in the description below. Keep it metal and have an excellent and blessed day, y'all.